Today we're going to talk about Offensive Player of the Year in the NFL. We're going to break down another blockbuster Thursday night football game. And then we're going to talk about the Los Angeles Lakers, who, if we can figure out a way to put them on Thursday night football. But let's start with Offensive Player of the Year, which is a market that should be dear to my heart after I bet Jonathan Taylor at 70-1 last year, but it's not. It's very far from my heart, but it's one that I'm on a revenge tour trying to find a winner. And right now, Cooper Kupp is the favorite at plus 600, which I don't agree with. Jalen Hurts is plus 600 as well. Then Justin Jefferson, followed by Stephon Diggs, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and then a couple of running backs in Chubb and Barkley. And the first name I want to get your thoughts on, and I think this guy should almost be the favorite in the market, and that's Tyreke Hill at plus 1,600, who I think is the best receiver in the NFL right now. He leads the league in receiving yards, and I think the positive for Tyreek, if you're going to back him, is that he's not depending on these 80-yard bombs to get his receptions. He's depending on volume. He's getting double-digit targets. He's getting Cooper Kupp type of volume, and I think he's got all the narrative in the world. Just with Tua and his quarterback situation, that's not going to steal credit away from Tyreek. He's revolutionized this offense. I think that, with Tua coming back, with the team getting healthier, I think the Dolphins, they should be a playoff team if they stay healthy going forward. They're probably a coin flip in that range. But I just think that Tyreek, he's the favorite to lead the league in receiving yards. So I don't understand why he has such longer odds than Kupp, Jefferson, Diggs, when he's the favorite to lead the league in receiving yards. And if he leads the league in receiving yards, then those guys aren't going to beat him. But what do you think of Tyreek?
I agree with all your takes. I can even add, I guess, to add to the positives, his touchdowns should regress positively. He is underperforming in the scoring touchdowns department. Maybe that's hurting his case so far. And I think I would expect that Mike McDaniel would utilize him more in the running game as we go kind of deeper into the season. I'm surprised they haven't yet. I expected a little bit more of a dual role from Tyreek along the lines of what we saw for Deebo Samuel and the Niners. But so I think there is still a lot of room for Tyreek to improve, besides the fact that he has been the best wide receiver to this point in the NFL. And so I agree with you. He should be the market favorite, but even again, and the only demerit, the only thing I can say against him is that there is a chance that McDaniel tacks into a more conservative game plan to try to protect Tua because of the 2 concussions. And so maybe there's a little bit reduced volume, but as we know with Tyreek, even a 5-yard target could be a 95-yard touchdown. So it's still he's a home run threat every single time the ball is in his hands, and so he'll get the yardage, and he should be the favorite. I'm glad we're talking about this market though more than anything because it looks broken. The top of this market is broken. And anytime that you're going through and trying to find a real plus EV bet, one that has, significant upside to the good, this is exactly what you're looking for. In no universe should Cooper Kupp be the favorite for this award. There is no chance he has a performance ultimately this season and the Rams this season that exceeds what he did last regular season. So the idea that people are going to reward him for performing less well is insane in my mind. And I think realistically, the Rams are, as we talked about yesterday, very likely on the outside looking in of the playoff picture, just based on how the team overall is manifest and the offensive line in particular. And so Cooper Kupp should not be close to the top of this board, let alone the favorite. Hurts, similarly, I don't think is going to get the recognition. His passings, yardage, and just in general, his the combined yardage running and passing is not going to be enough to warrant consideration, even if the Eagles put up 15, 16 wins this season. Jefferson has some highs, but overall, that's a very, very fraudulent offense in Minnesota so far. It will improve. He's the one guy I would look over my shoulder at. The idea of Josh Allen getting the MVP and Stephon Diggs getting Offensive Player of the Year is completely unheard of. It's just they like to share these awards across multiple teams that did good things in a given season. And so giving 2 to the Bills on the offensive side of the ball seems very unlikely to me. And then, the rest of these names that are even in the mix, you can poke holes with almost all of them. I don't know that Barkley can stay healthy. I don't think Chubb is on an offense that's good enough to warrant consideration. Josh Allen's certainly not going to double up MVP Offensive Player of the Year. And Lamar Jackson, while, still a threat, is just doesn't have the tools around him to put up the passing yardages at the end of the day to get consideration. So this looks like a two-man race to me right now between Jefferson and Tyreke Hill. And if you're getting 16-1 on Hill, then I think you're making a very, very, very plus CV bet.
Well, before we move on to the game tonight, here's my theory on this market that's kind of developing. I don't think any running back is going to win it because Chubb, the team is too bad. Kareem Hunt takes too many of his carries. For him to win it, he needs to be breaking records or coming close. Yeah. I don't think he's going to do that on that offense with Kareem Hunt there. Saquon, I don't think he's going to get the historic numbers that you need. And also, I think he's just going to get comeback player of the year as well. That will be the reward for Saquon. And then I think that Kupp is more likely to block all the other receivers from winning than he is to win himself. Because if Kupp leads the league in receptions and receiving yards, then no other receiver can win the award. But I don't think he's going to get it either, because it's weird, because he might be the best receiver in the game. I would have Tyreek, but he's become the symbol of the Rams offense not being good because they're feeding it to him constantly. They're not going to give it to Diggs when he's got Allen as his quarterback. Jefferson is having too many bad games as well, and just hasn't been quite at the level I think that people were hoping for. So, which leads me, I know you wrote off Josh Allen, but if Josh Allen has 1,000 more yards than Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson, and it's just the Patrick Mahomes 2018 situation where Mahomes did sweep MVP and OPOY, like if Josh Allen is over 5,000 passing yards, has, close to 1,000 rushing yards, I think that there is a case that he will just win by default because there's no other candidate. So Allen would be my other look alongside Tyreke Hill. But yeah, I don't feel amazing about anyone in this market yet, but it is very vulnerable. So I think that someone will emerge. But quickly, before we move on, what do you think of Allen in that context?
I got to throw cold water on Allen for two reasons. One is the weather in Buffalo.
Cold weather? Yeah.
The cold
weather? Yeah.
The cold weather in Buffalo. It's not that it's going to impact him from having a good December, January, but is he going to be throwing for 500 yards a game? No. Probably not. And the other thing is, they may be able to put him on ice a little bit here. I mean, at some point, like really the separation between the Bills and the rest of the NFL is pretty clear. They have the head-to-head win against the Chiefs. If they take care of business and, they don't have any slip-ups between now and Christmas, what degree are people even, because you circle the Bengals Bills second to last week of the season. Like, as of now, that seems like it might be a big-time meaningful game, but do you even really need to pull out the good plays in that one if you're the Buffalo Bills, or have you already locked up the one seed? So those are the two things in the back of my head about him ultimately chasing 6,000-yard season.
Yep, that makes sense.